Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and this is day 7 of 25 days of tonalism. The study we are doing today is painted after Camille Corot. I've called it Pond. It probably has a very long French name. Probably also, I think, features knowing Camille. There's like a shepherd or something in there with a lamb or something, a bunch of stuff I left out. And then, those of you that were with me for the 100 Days of Tonalism are probably aware that for the most part I just don't paint the figures in any of these studies. For one, it's just not my bag. And for two, usually it's just too small. It's not the point of what I'm after. I'm really trying to get the juice of their landscape across, not the specific small details. That said, there are times, if you look through the 100 days where I did paint the figures, and mostly in like nest paintings, because he would use those as very important, maybe even crucial compositional elements. And the way he approached the figures was quite abstract and generally very small. That's not the case with Camille Corot. His figures are, pretty well rendered and definitely the focal point of his work, but his compositions tend to do just fine without him, so I left him off. Now, you want information about Camille Corot, it's not hard to find. I'm not actually going to get into reading anything or doing anything like that. We covered him, I think, 11 times in 100 days, and this is the second time we've covered him in the 25 days of tonalism. So I guess if you're new to this, I may as well mention he's not actually, if he's a tonalist painter, he's the original tonalist painter. How about that? And this term tonalism generally refers to what's called American tonalism, but Camille Corot is generally considered to be what's called part of what's called the Barbizon school of painting, and it was started in France, maybe 1830, and went right up into prior to Impressionism, 1860. And man, there's a good amount of overlap. I think a few of Camille Corot's students became Impressionists, and he was certainly respected and regarded as one of the greatest French painters that ever lived, and rightly so, because his stuff's amazing. So, Camille Corot, type into Google, there you go. I'm not gonna. Now, that's, you notice on these guys that aren't as popular, I do go to the trouble of reading you some biographical stuff, because I realize it's a little harder to find. But Camille Corot, come on, he's out there. He's easy. He's one of those guys that a lot of non-artists have heard of, and a lot of non-art fans may have even heard of. So check him out. So you're wondering, now today is actually Friday, the December 30th here in New Zealand. So that'll be the 30th tomorrow for you guys, but my tomorrow will be Saturday, and I'll be probably working on the blog post for this video. Then I had a bit of time today, and so I thought I'd get a jump on getting this video prepared, and that's what we're doing. So it's a Friday, and I'm in the studio today. I was in the studio every day after Christmas except Christmas Day, which was a Sunday here. Probably a Sunday there too, I guess. I'm working tomorrow, which will be New Year's Eve, and I'll be off New Year's Day. But I'm working on a pass of 5 paintings right now, and I got some strong ones in there. Overall, I don't know if it's as strong as some of the better ones in my last pass, but I was remarking to a friend of mine today who's an artist. One of the great challenges about being an artist, especially a fine artist, I think, is you may have done something really stellar and really good, and doesn't preclude you from doing something that's far less stellar the very next time you set out to paint, and it's a phenomenon that I grapple with, and I have a lot of strategies for avoiding doing real and true clinkers. But part of the problem with working on a sort of inspiration basis as opposed to an illustration basis is you will get these clinkers, because I don't like to direct every single aspect of my process. I have a framework that I start with, and I stick to that framework very consistently, but unlike illustration, I don't direct the detailed portions of my paintings intensively. I don't sit there and inject it's hard to put it in words. I don't sit there and inject what I call precious elements, like, I'm going to paint this a certain way, I'm going to do this or that, I'm going to subscribe to this certain technique, and I've talked about technique in a recent blog post, and style, which, the two are always tied together very directly. And my technique is basically just the best way I can get the paint down and have it look good and feel good. I don't pretend to have any great technical ability. I do think that my technique does scale up pretty well, and it looks really good zoomed in on the computer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I try to succeed from far away and close up, but not in a way that's intensely consciously directed. A lot of it's unconscious, and the interplay between the unconscious and the conscious is one of the things that defines my particular approach to landscape painting and fine art in general. When I worked as a professional illustrator, I was a lot more involved consciously in pushing things in a certain direction, and that's not the case with how I work now. So for that reason, when I was working as an illustrator, I had a pretty high success rate of commercial, successes, and it did have some failures, and I'd have to say most of my failures that would be due to poor reference, Anyway, so I've been working on these 5 in the studio, and it's going okay. I'm doing my second pass now, and the one I was working on today was like a wooded path, and it's looking pretty nice. Some of the things I'm going to do to it, I'm going to have to do a little bit more on the third pass, but it's going to be pretty minor. I have been trying to do all of my paintings in just 2 color passes and the one underpainting / drawing pass lately. But if I need to, I don't hesitate to put it on the easel a third time and pull a few things up. And in this particular painting, it's an area of the sky that I want to do some dry brushing of a much brighter, lighter color. And what I've noticed is I have a limited ability to get the effect I'm after working wet on wet. And sometimes if I'm trying to do a dry brush and the contrast is too great between the color underneath and the color I'm trying to dry brush, it doesn't come off. So that's a case where I have a good reason to pull it up and put it on easel a third time, and that's what I'm going to do with this guy I was working on today. And I'm really happy with how today went. It was a good day. I've got one I'm going to be working on maybe tomorrow or the next day. It's this kind of lake scene, and it's been a bit of a challenge because it's one of these blue skies with white fluffy clouds, which I usually don't do, and the study's looking awesome, but sometimes I'm just not able to pull it off at the larger size. I'm really hoping that I can do it on this one and get that effect that I got in the study across. And again, sometimes that might take me a third pass on that too. I hope not. I try to keep things fresh. The reason I avoid doing that third pass is I don't want things to get overworked. It's really too easy to do. It's better to have something that's too raw and The fact of the matter too is the more passes I do, generally it doesn't save the painting if it's pretty much as good as it's going to be on that first color pass. There are exceptions though, especially if my approach in that first color pass is to just do a real rough in, and I can't get a lot of extra feeling or emotion across. I will sometimes just settle on blocking those colors in. Anyway, thanks for joining us for day 7 of 25 Days of Tonalism. You can check out more of my work at landscapepainter.co.nz, and you can follow my blog from there too. So check that out. We'll be back with you, like I said, Sunday and next week. So meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.